some nice ones. Thank you.
He's a legend. I think he can do it. Absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but
how do you feel about Manny Pacquiao?
No, I love Manny, and I'm glad Manny going in too. Manny is one of the dudes that I think definitely deserves to be in. Manny always has been and always will be one of my favorites because of the way he fights. I mean, a guy to come back after being knocked out in his two.
Manny Pacquiao is past his prime. He's not.
Boxing pros are weighing in on the Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios fight. Oscar de la Hoya shares his support, saying he wishes Pacquiao all the best. He firmly believes Pacquiao can absolutely do it, calling him a legend of the sport. According to de la Hoya, Pacquiao's experience and heart still give him a real shot at victory, even against a younger opponent like Barrios.
I wish him all the best.
Quadra, I love him.
Can he do it?
Quadra?
Can he do it? Absolutely. Manny Pacquiao's
Oscar needs.
He's a legend. You know,
Some nice ones. Thank you.
he's a legend. I think he can do it. Absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but I think he can do it. Yeah.
Roy Jones Jr. speaks with clear admiration, calling Manny Pacquiao one of the sport's all-time greats. His respect comes not just from Pacquiao's accomplishments, but also from the way he consistently challenged top-tier opponents. For Jones, Pacquiao's return to the ring is exciting because it allows a beloved icon to show glimpses of his past brilliance. He views this as a chance for Manny to reignite his legacy by overwhelming younger competition and showing that greatness doesn't fade easily. Jones's words echo the kind of emotional support fans love to hear, reinforcing the idea that some legends still have something left to give, even when the odds say otherwise.
How do you feel about Manny Pacquiao?
No, I love Manny, and I'm glad Manny going in too. Manny is one of the dudes that I think definitely deserves to be in. Manny always has been and always will be one of my favorites because of the way he fights. I mean, a guy to come back after being knocked out in two of his first three fights, then come back and do all the things that Manny did, that story is also just as awesome as Vinny Pazienza's story. You feel me? I mean, come on. Most guys can't bounce back from a knockout period. He got knocked out early in his career twice and came back and did all this.
Eddie Hearn approaches Pacquiao's return with a balance of admiration and realism. As a promoter who has watched countless careers rise and fall, Hearn understands the danger of nostalgia-driven comebacks. He doesn't dismiss Pacquiao's skills. He recognizes that few fighters in history have Pacquiao's resume. However, he emphasizes that time away from the ring matters. Inactivity can dull reflexes and chip away at conditioning, especially against younger, active fighters like Barrios. While Hearn admits Pacquiao might still outclass many opponents, he also warns that expecting a repeat of Pacquiao's prime years could lead to heartbreak. His tone is one of caution, advising fans to respect Manny's legacy without setting unrealistic expectations.
It's a very contentious subject, like, people moaning about Manny Pacquiao. I think Manny Pacquiao is still good enough to beat most fighters in the top 20 at 147 pounds. He's clearly not the fighter that he once was. You're not going to be at that age. My problem is that he's been inactive for quite a long time. Like, we were talking about fighting him with Conor Benn maybe 6 months ago or a year, and every month or 3 months or 6 months that passes, you do become a lot older. So, I guess there's two questions. One is, should he be fighting again? And at the end of the day, if he's good enough to beat everybody outside of the top 20 in the world, then why not? But should he be fighting for the world title? I guess that's another question. In the commercial world of boxing, the answer is yeah, probably. In the ratings world and activity world, the answer is probably not.
Do you think it's strange that he's coming off the couch and getting a title fight like that?
I think when you've achieved what he's achieved, you've always got the right to do things a little bit differently to others. And with all due respect, Barrios is not Boots, and Barrios is not Crawford. And that's why we pushed the Conor Benn fight. Conor Benn, like, his best win is against Algieri or Van Heerden. So actually Pacquiao is a step up. And people were still complaining at me for mentioning that fight, like Conor Benn is Boots, but he still hasn't had those wins yet.
Ricky Hatton raises the alarm on how far the sport is willing to stretch age limits for big names. He sees the Pacquiao versus Barrios bout as part of a troubling pattern, one where aging legends are approved for competitive fights that might do more harm than good. Hatton reflects on his own experience and relates it to cases like Mike Tyson's late return, suggesting that regulators are no longer strict enough when it comes to protecting fighters. He doesn't doubt that Pacquiao still has skill, but he questions whether he should be allowed to compete at this level.
4 years he's fighting for the WBC welterweight title. That's July the 19th in Vegas, ironically. What did you make of that news when you heard it?
Well, it's boxing today, isn't it? To be honest with you, boxing's, if you can let a 58-year-old Mike Tyson box a Jake Paul, then, Manny Pacquiao going back at 46 doesn't look too bad, does it? But Manny is coming back, though. Tyson was coming back fighting Jake Paul. Manny's coming back fighting for the world title. And I say this with love, how has Manny got his world title shot? He's been retired 6 years. He can't. He's got that on previous successes, hasn't he? To walk straight after being retired so many years ago, straight into a world title fight. How is that allowed possible? What happened? Surely he must have been dropped out of the rankings when he retired. All of a sudden he decided to make a comeback. They put him straight in at number one contender. I think only boxing can answer that.
I think did you say fifth, Joe? He's been already placed fifth in the world ranking.
Fifth in the. How can he be placed back in the top 10?
Comeback fighter.
Yeah, when you've been retired years, and on your previous, he was a hell of a fighter a few years back, but we don't know what he's going to be like today. So you'd like to think he'd have a couple of warm-up fights so we can say, yeah, and then get him in. But boxing these days, I think the money's everything in it.
You fought both, obviously. In your opinion, who's better? Who's tougher?
I think Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, I think Floyd Mayweather. I mean, and that sounds rich because he absolutely was probably one of the most brutal knockouts in boxing history, I'd say. When I see him getting knocked out by Pacquiao on Instagram or YouTube or anything like that, it's in the top 10 of the most destructive knockouts of all time.
Yeah.
But I was a little bit past myself back in the day. I'd had one or two. I wasn't a master of defence like Floyd Mayweather. I'd take 4 to get one in sometimes.
Then Shalom enters the discussion with deep concern. As a promoter himself, he knows the temptation that comes with staging a major event headlined by a legend like Pacquiao. But he also feels a responsibility to protect fighters, especially when they're past their physical peak. Shalom suggests that while Pacquiao's name guarantees attention, the human cost of such comebacks is often ignored. He points to examples of former champions who suffered both physically and mentally after one too many fights.
Thank you to Manny Pacquiao. Unbelievable career that we may never have a career like that again. I want you to take with you, when it comes to Manny Pacquiao, is moments. By taking themselves out of a comfort zone, challenging themselves. And Manny Pacquiao is a dinosaur when it last of a dying breed. We're not going to see too many fighters like this ever again. And Pacquiao is going to be the type of fighter that we tell our kids about. Pacquiao has 20 wins, greater than some of your favorite fighters' best win. Manny Pacquiao has 3 Hall of Fame careers in one, winning legit titles in 8 different weight classes. Pacquiao's legacy will age better and better and better. Times go on and on and on. A fighter like Floyd Mayweather, I think his legacy will diminish a little bit. Salute to Manny Pacquiao, one of the greatest of all time.
Ryan Campbell takes a middle ground approach. He admits that Manny Pacquiao is clearly not the same fighter he once was. Age affects everyone, but he also believes that special fighters have the ability to create special moments regardless of how old they are. Using George Foreman's incredible comeback as a reference, Campbell reminds us that boxing has a history of defying expectations. He doesn't promise victory for Pacquiao, but he leaves room for surprise.
Up for a Senate position in the Philippines, so we always know that Manny is a busy man. He gets after it. He also dares to be great, and this is wild news. Look, in the boxing underground rumor mill, this had been floating around for a couple months. We just didn't know if it was going to be for real. Was Manny really going to commit to not just coming back after 4 years away, after just one fight in the last 6 years, at age 46, but to come back directly into a title fight against a young, in his prime, active champion, Mario Barrios? It's interesting theater, to say the least. It's a pay-per-view main event, reportedly for July 19th. And we know Manny Pacquiao has always brought big business, but now he's going to bring it in more of the late career George Foreman type of way to etch himself into that record book even further. Can Manny do it? I mean, look, the odds are certainly against him. But there's one thing about certain legends in this game. Think Bernard Hopkins, who fought into a very late age. Some of them, as long as they can physically get themselves into that ring, sometimes they can reproduce magic for one night. So it's a romantic situation. I got cats walking around.
Yep.
People are excited to see the Pac-Man back. You just got to kind of figure out, is this for real? Is he going to be for real? Or are we going to send him into a physical, violent retirement?
Whether you're rooting for the legend or betting on the future, one thing's clear. This fight has the boxing world buzzing. So who do you think will win? The seasoned warrior or the hungry challenger? Drop your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more insider takes from the world of boxing. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single round.